You know that feeling, don't you? The phone rings with a number you recognize, someone you've known for years, and your first honest-to-God instinct is a deep, bone-weary sigh as you let it go to voicemail. Or perhaps you're in the middle of a conversation and someone launches into pointless gossip or a complaint you've heard a dozen times, and you feel a switch flip inside you. A quiet, firm, undeniable click that says, "I'm done. I don't have time for this anymore." For years, you were polite, you listened, you nodded, you played the social game. But now, in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, you find your patience for nonsense has evaporated. And the world might try to label you grumpy, difficult, antisocial. But what if what they see as intolerance is actually your greatest strength finally coming online? What if you're not broken? What if you're finally blooming into the most authentic version of yourself? Hello, my dear friends, and a very warm welcome back to Elderflowerings. I am so glad you're here for this conversation, because today we are giving ourselves permission to embrace a change that many of us feel but are often taught to feel guilty about. The quiet, powerful desire to avoid certain people and situations as we age. We're constantly told that connection is the ultimate goal, that we should always be social, always be accommodating. But the lived experience of aging often teaches a different, more profound lesson. It teaches us about the preciousness of our energy, the value of our peace, and the non-negotiable importance of authenticity. In our in-depth discussion today, we are going to explore 6 profound psychological reasons why you start avoiding people more as you age, and why this is not only completely normal, but is often a sign of deep wisdom and healthy self-preservation. This is not a conversation about loneliness or isolation. This is a celebration of discernment, a guide to understanding the powerful internal shifts that allow you to live your later years with more peace, more depth, and less soul-draining nonsense than ever before. If you have ever felt a twinge of guilt for declining an invitation or ending a phone call, this video is for you. It's your permission slip to honor your own needs. So, let's explore why you're not becoming a recluse. You're becoming real. 6 psychological reasons you avoid people more as you age, and why it's a superpower. Reason number 1. Your nonsense filter is finally perfectly calibrated. The first and perhaps most liberating reason you find yourself with less patience for certain interactions is because after 6, 7, or 8 decades on this earth, your internal nonsense filter has become expertly calibrated. When you're younger, you're still learning the patterns of human behavior. You give people the benefit of the doubt again and again. You listen to flimsy excuses. You tolerate one-sided friendships. You engage in pointless small talk at gatherings because you feel you're supposed to. You haven't seen the same movie play out 100 times yet, so you sit through each scene hoping for a different ending. But as you age, you become a master of pattern recognition. Your life experience has given you a PhD in human nature. You can now spot inauthenticity, manipulation, or simple time wasting from a mile away. You recognize the friend who only calls when they need something, and the conversation pattern is always the same. You can feel the insincerity in a piece of flattery. You can sense when a conversation is just emotional noise, gossip, pointless complaining, or drama that has nothing to do with genuine connection. You recognize the person who talks about themselves for 2 hours without ever once asking a meaningful question about you. In your younger years, you might have politely endured these interactions, But now, something inside you, your wise inner self, simply says, no more. My time and my peace are too valuable for this. You stop pretending to laugh at jokes that aren't funny. You no longer feel the need to nod along with opinions that make no sense to you. You find yourself quietly walking away from people or conversations that feel emotionally draining or intellectually empty. This isn't you being cruel or judgmental. This is self-preservation. It's the result of your experience finally giving you the clarity to distinguish between what nourishes your soul and what depletes it. You've spent a lifetime dealing with various forms of nonsense, and you have finally, powerfully given yourself permission to mute the noise. This isn't intolerance, it's wisdom in action. Reason number 2. Your emotional energy is now a precious, finite resource. The second reason is deeply physiological and practical. As you age, you come to understand a fundamental truth. Your emotional and social energy is not an infinite, renewable resource like it may have felt in your 20s or 30s. It is a precious, finite asset that must be invested wisely. Think back to your younger days. You could work a full day, go out with friends, attend a family event, and still have energy to spare. Your capacity for social interaction, for managing different personalities, for engaging in group dynamics was vast. You could bounce back from a draining conversation or a late night with relative ease. But as we age, that changes. This isn't a flaw, it's a natural shift. The kind of deep psychological weariness, sometimes called social fatigue, becomes more pronounced. A 1-hour lunch with someone who talks incessantly can now leave you feeling completely wiped out for the rest of the afternoon. A large family gathering with its multiple competing conversations and high level of stimulation can feel less like a joy and more like running a mental marathon you didn't sign up for. The emotional labor of mediating a disagreement between friends or listening to someone's chronic, unchanging problems can feel immensely heavy. Your body and your nervous system simply don't recover from overstimulation as quickly as they once did. And so you instinctively begin to practice a form of wise energy conservation. You start to say no more often to invitations that you know will drain you. You choose rest over obligation. You might prefer a quiet one-on-one conversation with a trusted friend over a loud, crowded party. You begin to fiercely protect your peace as if it is sacred because you have learned through experience that it is. Society often misinterprets this. They see an older person declining an invitation and might think, oh, they must be lonely, or it's a shame they don't get out more. But they miss the profound wisdom in the choice. Many older adults are not lonely at all. In fact, many are deeply content in their chosen solitude. They are not avoiding life. They are avoiding the parts of life that exhaust their spirit and leave them depleted. They are choosing to invest their precious energy only in the people and activities that bring them genuine joy, peace, or meaning. That's not antisocial, it's profoundly self-aware. Have you started to notice this shift in your own energy budget? Recognizing that your social battery has a different capacity now and honoring that is an act of deep self-respect. Reason number 3. You have finally graduated from the school of people-pleasing. This third reason is a psychological graduation, a hard-won diploma from a school many of us attend for decades without even realizing we're enrolled. As you get older, you often find you have finally, blessedly graduated from the school of people-pleasing. For much of our lives, especially for women of a certain generation, there was immense pressure to be nice, to be agreeable, to keep the peace, and to make sure everyone else was comfortable, often at the expense of our own feelings. Our sense of worth was often tied to external validation, being seen as a good parent, a helpful friend, a supportive spouse, a compliant employee. We chased approval, we avoided conflict, and we often silenced our own truths to avoid rocking the boat. But aging brings a powerful gift, a shift in priorities. You begin to ask yourself different, more profound questions. How much energy do I truly have for this today? Does this person or situation actually make me feel good, or do I feel drained after interacting with them? Who in my life do I genuinely trust with my vulnerability? Am I doing this because I want to, or because I feel I should? You are no longer chasing popularity, widespread approval, or a full social calendar. You are chasing peace. You begin to crave meaningful, authentic conversations, not surface-level chit-chat. You want to spend your time with people who truly get you, not people who merely tolerate you or for whom you have to perform. And you realize with a liberating clarity that if the right people aren't available, you would genuinely rather sit in peaceful silence than force a smile in draining company. This is not loneliness. This is freedom. This is the wisdom of knowing that your own inner peace is more valuable than anyone else's fleeting approval. This graduation from people-pleasing is why you might find yourself no longer willing to entertain one-sided friendships or tolerate subtle disrespect. It's not that you've become less kind, it's that your kindness now includes yourself. You have finally learned that your own well-being deserves a prominent place on your priority list. Reason number 4, your awareness of time's preciousness has sharpened. The fourth reason your social selectivity increases is tied to a profound existential shift in perspective. As you age, your awareness of time itself changes, and its preciousness becomes acutely, tangibly real. When you're 20, an hour can feel like nothing, a day can feel endless, and a year can seem like an eternity. You have an internal sense of a vast, open road stretching out before you. You can afford to spend time on things that don't deeply matter because you feel you have time to spare. But when you're 70 or 80, an hour can feel like gold. You are keenly aware that your time on this earth is not infinite. This doesn't have to be a morbid or fearful awareness. In fact, it can be an incredibly clarifying and life-affirming one. It makes you a much more mindful investor of your moments. You instinctively begin to evaluate every potential engagement through a new lens. Is this truly worth a piece of my life? You realize that every coffee date, every phone call, every family gathering comes at a cost, not just of time, but of your finite and precious life energy. And so, you begin to invest that energy more wisely. You might decline a lunch invitation with someone whose company you find pleasant but not truly nourishing, in favor of a quiet afternoon spent on a passion project that brings you deep joy. You might choose to let a phone call from a known gossip go to voicemail, opting instead for peaceful solitude. You might leave a large, noisy party early, not because you're not having fun, but because you know your energy is better spent on a quiet, deep conversation with one or two people you truly care about. This isn't you being antisocial. This is you treating your time and energy with the reverence they deserve. You are no longer willing to trade hours of your precious life for interactions that leave you feeling empty, drained, or simply meh. You are choosing depth over breadth, meaning over mere activity. This selective investment of your time is one of the ultimate expressions of wisdom, and it naturally leads to avoiding people or situations that feel like a poor return on your life's most valuable asset. Reason number 5. You crave authenticity and have no energy for performance. This brings us to our 5th reason, which is about the quality of interaction itself. As you age, you develop a deep, soul-level craving for authenticity, and you lose all tolerance for social performance. For decades, we all perform to some degree. We engage in polite small talk at work functions. We wear a pleasant social mask at family gatherings. We navigate group dynamics with a certain level of careful diplomacy. It's a necessary part of social living, but it is also, at its core, a form of labor. It takes energy to be on. As you get older, you have spent a lifetime managing personalities, mediating conflicts, accommodating others, and entertaining. The reserves for this kind of performance art simply run dry. You no longer have the patience or the energy for fake smiles and flattery. Your finely tuned life experience allows you to see through insincerity almost instantly, and it feels exhausting to engage with it. Pointless gossip. You've seen enough real-life drama to know that talking about other people's lives is usually a fruitless and low-vibration activity. One-sided friendships. You are no longer willing to be the sole audience for someone else's endless monologue. You crave the reciprocal dance of a real conversation. With your nonsense filter perfectly calibrated, as we discussed in reason number 1, and your awareness that time is precious, reason number 4, you begin to instinctively pull away from any interaction that requires you to be inauthentic. You stop putting yourself in situations that go against your true nature. If you are an introvert, you stop forcing yourself to attend large, loud parties. If you are a deep thinker, you stop trying to engage in superficial chit-chat. This quest for authenticity can feel like social withdrawal from the outside, but on the inside, it feels like profound relief. It's the freedom of no longer having to pretend. It's the joy of being able to be fully, unapologetically yourself. You no longer owe people your presence just because it's expected. You offer it as a genuine gift only when and where it feels right and true to your soul. Pause for a moment and think about this. Is there a social situation you used to tolerate but now find you have absolutely no patience for? That's not you being grumpy. That's your authenticity filter working perfectly. Reason number 6. Your body keeps the score and demands peace. Our final reason is one we often feel in our very bones. It's the truth that your physical body itself begins to demand a quieter, less stressful environment. Aging wisely involves honoring the signals your body sends you. The physical realities of aging directly impact your social behavior, and we must be honest about this. You may simply tire more easily than you used to. Your hearing might not be as sharp, making loud restaurants or crowded rooms with multiple conversations happening at once not just unpleasant, but genuinely stressful and confusing. Your joints may ache after sitting too long in an uncomfortable chair at someone else's house. Your back might need more support than a social event can provide. Suddenly, that 2-hour dinner party with 5 other couples doesn't just sound like a social effort, it sounds like a physical endurance test. The thought of getting dressed up, driving at night, navigating a noisy environment, and then recovering the next day can feel utterly exhausting before you even begin. This isn't a sign of defeat. It's a sign of your body communicating its needs with clarity, and wisdom is about listening to those needs. So you begin to naturally adjust your life to fit your body's reality, not the other way around. You might start preferring early afternoon lunches over late night dinners. You might choose a quiet coffee with one friend over a loud group brunch. You might decline an invitation that requires extensive travel or standing for long periods. This isn't a sign of defeat, it's a sign of your body communicating its needs with clarity. And wisdom is about listening to those needs. So you begin to naturally adjust your life to fit your body's reality, not the other way around. You might start preferring early afternoon lunches over late night dinners. You might choose a quiet coffee with one friend over a loud group brunch. You might decline an invitation that requires extensive travel or standing for long periods. This isn't about being antisocial, it's about being pro-well-being. It is a loving, compassionate response to your body's requests for gentler, more supportive environments. You are designing a life that sustains you rather than drains you. This physical component, mixed with the mental and emotional fatigue we've discussed, makes the peace and comfort of your own home feel like a precious sanctuary, a gift you give yourself every time you politely decline an invitation that you know will cost you too much in physical comfort and energy. The beautiful irony, how withdrawing can lead to deeper connection. As we bring these 6 truths together, the calibrated nonsense filter, the finite energy, the graduation from people-pleasing, the preciousness of time, the craving for authenticity, and the body's need for peace, a beautiful, powerful narrative emerges. This shift in your social behavior, this quietening of your social life, is not about rejecting people. It is about refining your circle. And this refinement, while it can feel lonely at first, eventually leads to a profound sense of clarity and a new kind of connection. Some people in your life may not understand this change. They might say, "You used to be so social," or "Why don't you come out anymore?" And you might struggle to answer, because how do you explain 1,000 quiet realizations in a simple, polite sentence? The truth is, you don't owe anyone an explanation, not anymore. You have earned the right to disappear into your own peace without guilt. And here is the beautiful irony, the final secret that so many wise elders discover. When you stop needing people around you all the time, the right ones start showing up more often and more deeply. When you stop begging for connection, you begin to attract it naturally. You no longer force conversations, they just happen, filled with meaning. You don't schedule companionship out of a fear of being alone. It finds you in the form of that one friend who truly understands the beauty of a comfortable silence, or that family member who respects your boundaries and cherishes the time you do choose to give them. Those few people who remain, who love and respect the quieter, more authentic version of you, they become priceless. They are your gold, because they love the real you, not the one who showed up to every event to be polite, but the one who shows up fully with their whole heart when it truly matters. So, if you are finding yourself more withdrawn lately, more selective, more quiet, I invite you to stop panicking. Don't second guess it. Don't let the world tell you that something is wrong with you. You are not broken. You are blooming. You are peeling away every layer of obligation, pretense, and noise that no longer serves your soul. You are not becoming less social. You are becoming more you. And that is a kind of joy, a kind of peace that cannot be faked. Maybe your calendar is empty this weekend. Maybe the phone hasn't rung in a few days. Maybe you spent your entire afternoon doing absolutely nothing with a completely peaceful heart. That is not loneliness. That is arrival. That is the profound feeling of your life finally, beautifully fitting just right. If this message felt like it understood you better than most people do lately, then please don't let this be the last time we talk. Subscribe to our Elderflowerings channel. We are building a quiet, respectful corner of the internet right here, just for folks like you. No noise, no pressure, just real talk, soul-deep stories, and the profound peace you have so richly earned. Thank you for sharing this quiet, reflective time with me today. Your presence here is deeply appreciated. Remember, the world may value noise, but wisdom often speaks in whispers. Until next time, be kind to yourself and cherish your peace.